We are live, y'all. Welcome, you guys, to the Heal Life. I came on a little early because that's how amazing this is going to be. So, I want you guys to come on in and get your seat. I believe that tonight will not disappoint. It's not going to be a disappointment. You guys have been following me and watching the Heal Life series, and it has been amazing. And I like to say every round goes higher. And so tonight's guest, some of you may know her, some of you may not, but I'm going to introduce you to a fabulous woman that everybody needs to know. And I want to share my platform, and I want you guys to hear just a tremendous story of transformation, of healing, of transparency, clarity, audacity, courage. It's going to be one of those nights. Okay. And so, as you guys are coming in, please tell us where you're tuning in from, because I would love to know how many states we have represented and where you guys are tuning in from. Where are you tuning in from? So let us know. Let us know. All right. All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is a Thursday night, and it is the best time to hear heal stories. I love sharing these stories and these real life stories of women that really find the time to do some inner work so that they can finally get clarity about who they are, what they want, and what's next for them. I think, when we look at where we are in our lives right now, no matter whether you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, or above, you always have to have a deeper level of clarity so that you can understand what's next for you. And many times when we don't have clarity, it's because we need healing. We need a deeper level of healing. And so for me, God has given me this assignment to coach and mentor and teach healing, because that is the process that brought me to my greatest breakthrough. I didn't understand until I started doing the inner work that it was the key to my freedom. It was the key to my prosperity. It was the key to me walking in my purpose. It was the key, honestly, to me being unleashed and released. I had a muzzle on my mouth, and I was a prophet. And how many of us understand that prophets are mouthpieces of God? We're supposed to speak for God, but what good is a muzzle prophet? And so I knew that I had to do some inner work for there to be any type of breakthrough for me. I had to sit long enough with myself, really figure out who I was, what God was saying that He wanted for my life, and then align myself with what I discovered. And so, hey, Dr. Val. And so I'm super excited to share Kimberly with you tonight. I'm not going to bring her up yet. I want you guys to go ahead and share and tag a few people. Get your girlfriends on. Go ahead and tag a few people. Sow a share for the broadcast, because we always like to say here at the Heal Life that it's easier to live healed than bound. I think many times when we look at where we are in our lives and we feel like something is missing, or we feel like there's an empty space in our life, it's because there needs to be a deeper inner work done in our life. And so every time I start feeling like there's a void in my life, or I start feeling like, I don't feel like I am confident, or I feel like there's the brick wall in front of me, I feel stuck. I know that that's a time for me to reflect and go within myself and do some inner work. Whether it's healing, deliverance, whether it's self-care, positive self-talk, I need to heal myself by talking positively to myself. I need to coach and prophesy to myself. And then sometimes it's for me to face some things that I've been avoiding. You know, many of us don't want to admit it, but there are some things that we've been avoiding for years. There's been some people that we've been holding on to, holding hostage, harboring things about them. And until you really learn to release and let those things go from your past, it's going to be very hard, difficult for you to come into the clarity that you want, the freedom and the courage to move forward, especially if you're a kingdom woman, right? Because kingdom women know that God is the center of everything we do. He is the center of every assignment. He is the center of our success. And we want to have God at the center of that thing. So we have to include him in the process. You can't just go to the therapist. Okay, you can go to the therapist, because I'm not against therapy. You can go to the therapist, but there has to be a process that you decide you're going to participate in, so that you can get the breakthrough that you need. And that involves doing the inner work and including God as the source of your clarity. And so what I do, I am a healing coach. I teach women how to heal by releasing and equipping them with the tools that they need. And I also help them find the clarity that they need to move forward, and the courage to, most of the time, create a stream of income and increase their prosperity. And so if you're looking to heal, because healing is a lifestyle, you know that you've done some work, but you know you still need to do some work. You know that you're still at the you're still at the beginning stage of working through some of your trauma. You know that you've had some victories, but it's not time to stop doing the work, which is never, in my opinion, is never time to stop doing the work. And you know you're worth the investment. Come on, you know you're worth the time and the effort. Listen, you need to tune in to this broadcast, because when I tell you, I came on early just to make sure we had the time to hear this amazing story and this testimony. All right. So if you guys would, hello, Tanya, Dr. Val, Alicia. Hello, everybody. Tell us where you're tuning in from, what city, what state. And let's bring Kimberly on in just a minute. Hold on. I'm gonna share, because y'all, you can't rush perfection. We can't rush this right here. This is like a simmering pot that you need all the seasoning. You need all the seasoning to be able to sit there for a minute. So we're not rushing, okay? But I want to make sure that I get everybody on that needs to be on with us tonight. That needs to be on with us tonight. Y'all ready? Y'all ready? Are y'all ready? Yes. Yes, let's get this woman. Queen is on. Hello, Queen. I was wondering. I'm like, listen, friend not on yet. I came on especially early for y'all that know we were gonna be on. So now that Queen is here, we can start. Kiwana, thank you so much. I see T. Vaughn is in. Welcome. Chanel is on. Thank you guys so much for supporting and coming in. Go ahead and sow a share, tag somebody, let them know that they're about to hear an amazing story. Amazing story. All right. So without further ado, I want to introduce to some of you a powerful woman. She's a spicy little fierce little thing. She's from Natchitoches, Louisiana. I believe that God has gifted her to be a creative. She is a woman of kingdom authority. She's a woman she's a woman. I think that she has one of the softest and sweetest hearts. She's one of those type of women that tries to make sure she's operating in the spirit of excellence. And that's what I first really learned about her, that I was impressed about her. She loves to operate in the spirit of excellence. If she can't do it correctly with a spirit of excellence, she doesn't want to do it. She won't put her hand to it. And so without further ado, I want to welcome my special guest, Kimberly Reliford-Washington, all the way from the boot from my home state, Louisiana. We want to welcome Kimberly in the Hill Life.
Yes. Yes. The Hill Life. Hey,
Yes,
everybody. I'm so excited. I'm
yes,
excited.
yes.
I'm a
I'm
little
excited.
nervous, but I'm excited.
Well, my husband said that's you stress. It's good that you have a little bit of nervousness because that means you need God to word your mouth and to be with you as you do whatever you're doing. So I think it's amazing that y'all look. I think she's a pink girl. She's like me. I don't have my pink on tonight, but
I'm a pink girl.
but she looks fabulous. And
Thank
I
you.
want to welcome you to the Heal Life, where it is easier to live free and healed and bound. And
Yeah.
you have an amazing story that we're not going to try to tell it all because you can't tell it all in one sitting. But you have had some amazing breakthrough. You've had some of the biggest aha moments. You were one of those people that was like, let me call and make sure. I don't want to just do the work, but let me call prophetess and prophetess. Now let's make sure we're doing this correctly. I
Yes.
love that about you. But for those of the women and men that are on tonight, the viewers that are on tonight that may not know you, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so typically when you ask somebody, who are you? Or let me tell you, I'm gonna give off the titles first, because we be like, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a yaya. I got grandbabies. I'm a yaya. Um, and I'm just on this beautiful healing journey. I'm an author. So I'm on this beautiful healing journey. But the title that I am focused on the most in this season is the title of woman.
Mm,
Because I realize that if I'm not good, nobody around me is good. So that's where I am mentoring. I have a mentoring group that I do with the young girls. Right now I go into the school periodically and just talk to them and try to do little activities with them. I have a podcast, Mirror Mirror. And so yeah, I'm just excited about everything that God is doing in my life right now. And I'm here for it. I'm open to it and I'm here for it.
amen. Amen. So before we get started, I want you to just give us a little snippet of what made you start mentoring girls. Why go back into the school system? What was that drive, or what drove you to really want to reach back out to those young girls?
I didn't have it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have it in my own life. And for some reason, it was a 9-year-old little girl on the inside of me who would not heal.
Mm-hmm.
And she responded to everything. It wasn't the one, even as an adult, that 9-year-old little girl would respond for me. She would, no matter how hard I tried to hold her back, she responded to everything. And I'm like, you know what? I have to go back. So working with them, I'm trying to kind of navigate a space for them so they won't experience life as hard, because life is hard sometimes. But if
Mm-hmm.
I can create a safe space and get them to understand the importance of community and sisterhood while working on themselves, then, I feel like that. And it's purpose for me. It's purpose.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so when they hear your story, they're going to connect the dots back to that. But I wanted to give you an opportunity just in case we forgot, because your story is so loaded. When you come across somebody like you and you're gifted, that God has given you many gifts, but something about a year ago, well, I would say 9 months, 8, 9 months ago, let's roll the tape back to where you were last year in 2024, and where you were and what sparked you to say, something needs to be done. Like, I have to do something about where I am right now. Where Kind of tell us where you were. Give us a little preview of what that looked like for you.
I was a hot mess. I was sick and tired of me. And I was tired of doing the two-step with life. I'll
Mm,
take one step forward and look like I'll take two steps back. And I was tired of that. I was stuck in a vicious cycle. I would start and stop. I was procrastinating. And I couldn't get right for myself. Ironically, I had the answer for everybody else. I can help everybody else, but when it came to me, I had no answer for myself. And so when I did an assessment of like just the people in my life, they couldn't help me. And I'm not saying they didn't have the capacity. I'm
mhm,
just saying they didn't have what I needed in that season to
mm,
kind of be the catalyst for me, to kind of, so when I saw you, I think it was a flyer you had posted, and I'm like, I don't, I don't know, because I had taken class before, and I had invested in myself before, and I used the resources and I did the work, and then boom, I was right back where I was before. So I think I may have called Ty, because Ty is married to my cousin. So I knew of her,
Mm-hmm.
and I called her. I said, look, there's this woman. She done posted this flyer, and I see you follow her. I just need to know if she's genuine, And she was like, baby, take the class. If I can't tell you nothing else, I can tell you to take the class. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, okay. I said, well, this is me leaping out on faith, because when I took, prior to call to clarity, I was broken.
Mm-hmm.
I was so broken. I had nothing left to pour out. When I looked in the mirror, I didn't recognize who I was, and nothing around me reflected who I thought I was. Nothing. I couldn't get that, I couldn't get um a calibration on just kind of, my identity. And there was nobody around to tell me who I was. So I'm like, I was angry. I had unforgiveness. I was dealing with the spirit of rejection. Um, just so many things that, I mean, I just was broken. Trauma. I couldn't manage my emotions, but let you come to me and say you needed me. Oh, I can get it together then.
Right.
I can get it together. So prior to Call of Clarity, that's where I was. I was a mess.
So
I was
when you start doing the work and you realize that all of the things you had done, all the things you could do well for others, you had the missing part was really investing the time to go deeper and do the work for you. And you found out this 8-year old that had been controlling you, or she was your protector, but she
yes,
also was a saboteur.
she was.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
She would not let you venture past the place. And I want to say this because I had a 10-year-old, and that 10-year-old stayed with me till I was 45.
Yeah.
And she made decisions for me.
Mhm.
I could not make decisions because I was stuck in that time, because what trauma does, it paralyzes you, not physically but emotionally.
Yes.
So you can't make decisions, proper decisions, or you have no flexible coping. You're always overthinking because you're battling within. The person that you are and the person you were is battling, and there's no agreement. So but I want to ask you that while you start doing the work, what was the biggest breakthrough for you? Because I know you had multiple breakthroughs. I know that you mentor, you get business, you have all of these things, but what was the biggest breakthrough for you when you realized that the work was the key, to you getting where you needed to be?
All of my breakthroughs was big, but I never forget. We were sitting in class, and you asked. We were doing key attributes, and you asked what was my key attribute, and we sat there, and I'm like, confidence. Confident is a key attribute. And you said, well, when is the last time you used this attribute? So I'm like, in my mind, when is the last time you felt confident? And when I realized it was in middle school,
Yes,
that
I
was my,
remember that.
I was devastated. I was devastated. I'm like, in middle school, how could this be? So just unpacking that, because that night was loaded. I mean, I don't think it was just loaded for me. It was loaded for everybody in class that night. And
Hmm.
just being able to unpack everything prior to leading up, I think that was the moment I began to heal the little 9-year-old girl.
Mm.
That moment there, you know. So as a result of that, I started doing the work. I was already doing it, but the first day of class, you asked us what was our stakes that was holding our tent.
Oh, I
And
remember that.
my mind was blown. I'm like, wait a minute. Like, I know, I'm here, but all of these questions, it's like all these emotions started just going through my mind. And I'm like, oh my gosh, the stakes in it. And then you had given us some resources,
Hmm.
you know, and some of the stuff I forgot I had even went through until I started actually doing the work. And I'm like, no wonder I couldn't get rid of the spirit of rejection. It was so much. Every time I thought I had gotten rid of it, I was either triggered or it was some residue that was left there, And I'm like, Lord. But when I started doing the work, my life, I gained momentum and my life changed drastically.
Mm, yeah. I think your job changed,
Yes.
and I know it changed other parts. I believe that. I mean, and y'all, without us telling all this, Kim was like, "I'm ready to move." I'm like, "Hold up,
Yes. I
I'm
mean,
too
I started
big for
feeling,
this prophetess." She was like, "I'm too big."
I mean, it had been a long time. I had felt stuck for so long. So now it felt like everything was moving, the wheels was turning. And I'm like, okay, I can't stay here no more. I gotta go. And you was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, yeah. But I
And
loved it because it's like you came alive.
yes,
Came alive. There was
yes,
something in you that was lying dormant, and that thing exploded
it did.
and came alive. Tell us about and Kimberly is selective about people that she allows in her life, in her space, which we should be. And I think even sometimes when we experience rejection or we experience relationship trauma with women, um, we can never really be as open as some other people that hadn't experienced trauma from relationships. But
Mhm.
we work at being wise. We work at being open and recognizing divine relationships. Tell me about the person that thought, I'm not going to meet anybody. I don't know these people. They don't know me. I ain't. But you formed this beautiful relationship. I mean, you started really connecting and making these beautiful connections. That was one of the extras.
Yeah.
Kind of tell us, as you went on that journey, did you expect to receive that there?
No, because initially I wasn't open to it.
Right.
I had been hurt so much by women, period. Women in the marketplace, women in church. So definitely that prophetess, I'm like, oh no, ma'am, I'm not. But I'm glad I did because I experienced a lot of people who wasn't authentic as they claim to be, and I'm gonna be honest, my discernment was at an all-time low. It was because my judgment was clouded, and I had so much other stuff going on.
Mm,
And one thing that I learned that about myself from Call to Clarity is I was stuck in survival mode.
mm,
I was stuck. Like I couldn't see past tomorrow. And I was always busy. I wasn't productive. And it was like I was always on a go. And I would pat myself on the back, like, okay, girl, you a good mom. You present, maybe a mediocre wife. I'm working on that. But
mm,
as a mom, I was definitely, present. But then I started looking at my daughter and I'm like, so if she does the same thing that I do, which takes her experiences and adopt them as her identity,
my,
then she'll always undervalue herself.
yes.
So I felt like I had to break the cycle. I had to. So Call to Clarity, I'm like, all right, I have all these beautiful women in here, and they were more open than I was. It took me a little minute to open up,
Hmm.
but out of that, I found such a beautiful relationship with one of that's my sister. I can't even call her friend. She's my sister. And we just fit. We fit and it felt like we had been knowing each other for years. Hey
Hmm.
Quinn, that's my girl.
Yeah, she's on here. She's on here. Yeah,
Yes.
I'm s I saw that connection, and I really believe that when people go through things, sometimes they're going through it by themselves, and they don't realize that they do need community. And when they open themselves up, not knowing how it's gonna turn out, but just doing the work, God gives them the extras. Because we talked about bonuses. Y'all were the
Yeah.
bridge birthers. Y'all were the
Yeah, we were. We were.
you know and it was such a pleasant surprise. But I think sometimes people don't understand the power of community. You can't go through sharing and being accountable to each other, getting this clarity and connecting at that intimate of a level, and don't form divine relationships. And so
Yes.
sometimes people try to go through their process alone on an island. And it is one of the loneliest, hardest seasons of your life, because you don't have the help to accelerate your experience. And so
Yes.
saw both of you guys, like she blew up, you blew up, and now y'all blowing up together.
Yeah.
Doing, it was so powerful for me to see, see it happen. So was that the thing that you really wasn't looking for, but you received? You
Yeah.
didn't know you needed?
That was definitely a bonus. Yes. I wasn't looking, but after Call to Clarity, I knew I needed accountability. Like I didn't want it to stop there. Like the class
Mhm.
is over, but this is a lifestyle. I've adopted. I bought into everything you were saying. Like the vision of the Visionary Institute, like I bought into it. And I'm like, I want to take this on and use it afterwards. So I knew that I needed an accountability partner. So I reached out to her, and it was like, she was like, wait a minute, I'm thinking the same thing. So ever since then, it's been beautiful. But what also solidified this class for me is I when you speak, it was like you was telling my story for me. A lot of things that you had went through, I had went through too. And I'm like, there's no way. I never met somebody that got me who didn't even know me. And
Mhm.
to me, that was confirmation that I was in the right place. Because
Yeah,
if you went through some of the things that I had been through, then I knew that you were going to help me unpack this and kind of, help me navigate it and just place everything where it goes. Because I had everything in the wrong spot. My whole life was disorganized. My emotions, my coping mechanisms, the way I responded to things, everything was just in disarray. So I'm like, if she went through this, and and I went through this, and she came out of it, and the tools that she's giving me, they have to work. So I bought completely into it.
yeah, yeah, you did. I think that you were one of the ones that we could make if we had a poster child for Call to Clarity. You would be right up there with the top,
Yeah.
top ones, because you would not allow any of the work to go undone. There's some people, and I tell people this all the time: when you come into this type of intensive, it's an intensive, because it's something that most people never do.
Yeah.
It's intense because you have to decide that you're going to take your power back from your past, because your power is in increments and in installments based on the trauma and the things you endured.
Woo.
So you have to go back to those places to regain your power. And so when I saw you doing the work, I was like, wow, she's really taking this serious, because there's some people that do some of the assignments but don't do everything. Don't show up on time, don't. Kimberly was the type of person, if I'm gonna be 5 minutes late,
Yeah.
and
I
then
was
be
at
like,
work.
2 minutes late, and stay late and say, did I miss anything? When you go upload the replay, and I'm like, it was just 2 minutes. She was totally bought in, totally engrafted into the process. But I want to ask you this, Kimberly: what happened as a result? What started coming out of you? Because you guys, every cohort is called God gives me a name for them. One of them was the classy bunch, but y'all came after the classy bunch, and God told me they're bougie, but they're gonna birth some things. And
Yes.
you begin to birth mirror mirror. I mean, tell us about what happened as a result. Not when you were complete, when you just started doing it. God started saying, come on now, let's get this started. Let's do this. Let's get back to this. Because if the truth be told, we're all healed and healing still,
Yeah.
you know and that's why we can say we're healed, but we invite even more healing into our life. But that doesn't mean you don't stop letting God use you. That doesn't mean you stop making impact. It just means when God releases you and partners with you, you go ahead and take that opportunity.
Yeah.
What did you give birth to as a result of doing the work?
Myself. That's one. There was more of an awareness about me and my identity. I've
Mm,
always heard God. I heard his voice clearly, but being obedient and actually doing what he was telling me to do, I wasn't able to do that prior to the class.
mhm,
So once I took the class, I was able to move quicker. I'm not saying I move the quickest now, but
mm,
I was able to move and start, because I prayed. I said, well, Lord, I need a strategy, because the way I've been doing it, it's not working. And
mhm,
as he started, I tell you what it was. When we talked about activating our voice and why Satan wanted to keep us muzzled.
What was the
Um,
intention of the?
yes,
Mm-hmm.
that's when it started. That right there birthed Mirror Mirror because I realized I had so much to say. You
Mm,
know, I realized that was taking my power back. I had been silent for so long, and it was so many things that I needed to say. I just didn't know, because a lot of times when I say something, um, my personality is I'm an acquired taste. I understand that, but my personality is it can come off as aggressive, you
mm-hmm.
know, but it's really passion. So
Mm-hmm.
Mirror Mirror was that it was birthed as a place to be able to use my voice, on my own terms. And nobody, would be like, okay, you need to scale that back. Or no, ma'am, I'm not scaling anything back. I'm
Right.
not dimming none of my light. I'm not doing any of that. So Mirror Mirror came about. Um, Another thing that was birthed is my book.
Mm-hmm.
My book was birthed, and to be able to have to relive some of that stuff as I'm writing, because I tried to write many times before, because I always knew that I was supposed to write a book, and I would start, I would stop, I would start, I would stop. But once Call to Clarity, I'm talking about, it was like a reservoir had opened, and
Mm,
it flowed, and I realized that what I have to say is valuable,
mm-hmm.
and it may not be for this person, but it's definitely for this person. And then I realized that there were other women waiting on me. I had to get it together. There was too
Mm,
many people that I was keeping, stagnated and stuck because of my refusal, my disobedience to come into to just to be healed.
mm-hmm.
I didn't, and I, it wasn't that I didn't want to do the work. I just simply didn't know how.
Yeah.
And so Call to Clarity gave me the tools that I needed. And it allowed me to stop asking questions from people or stop looking from answers from people who had questions themselves. Like,
Mm,
I'm looking for you to tell me who I am, and you don't know.
right.
And so, that was my experience a lot in church. Like, you trying to tell me who I am, but then on a day that's not church, I see you doing stuff you're not supposed to do. No, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
So, just allowing people to project their insecurities on me, I don't do that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Especially when you say there's people waiting on you, because I believe everybody has a nation.
mhm,
And we're supposed to make sure that we don't waste our oil on people that are not in our nation, because they don't even understand our language.
yes,
And so the enemy worked really hard during your young years to make you feel like you were too bold, you were too, aggressive, or you were too sure of yourself. And that was rekindled or restored when you start doing the work. Because when you say, I think a lot of times we all are looking for people to tell us who we are, but you find your identity within,
yeah,
outside of yourself. But if we be honest, sometimes we are looking outside of ourselves for identity. And so when you started really doing the work, I saw you the same way, with many women. They discovered, listen, I don't have to wait on anybody else. I can find out who I am, because when I center myself in the will of God, I find him and I find myself wrapped up in him. You
yes.
and so when you started rekindling that relationship, and your ears were popping open, it was just amazing to see. It was amazing to see. So the book, you started the mentorship again, Mirror Mirror, which is the podcast, and you start doing something that then you start doing something for your daughter. You some
Well, we always had her brand, fourth quarter pressure, but I started back being more engaging in that as well. Because I mean, that doesn't just apply to sports, that's life. You want to apply pressure in every area of your life. So I just felt my passion kind of, reignited.
Mhm,
I looked in the mirror and I was able to recognize who I am. And I took on the posture of just being grateful,
mm,
because I took Call to Clarity in June. We're in February. It hasn't even been a year yet. And it's
mhm,
like, God, the things that you have done in my life in such a short period of time, because this is years of me struggling with things.
Right.
Even with the spirit of rejection, that was one of my main things that I was delivered from.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I do still feel a little rejected, but I don't deal with that spirit anymore.
Right.
I'd be like, well, hold on. And I learned not to take things personally,
Mm-hmm.
because we all go through things.
Yeah.
So I'm more aware of my just myself. I remember I don't know if it was last week or the week before. I'm like, wait a minute. Something is wrong with me. I don't feel, I feel like I'm less empathetic. Like, what is going on? Because I'm used to being an emotional person. So as I'm, on this healing journey, I realize I'm not as an emotional person as I thought I was. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I mean,
Yeah.
I still love people, but now I'm like, suck that up. It's not that deep,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and I have to realize that people aren't where I am,
Yeah.
and extend that grace.
Yeah, I think for you, especially when I got the call when that happened, you was like, "Is something wrong with me? Like, what's going on?" I think that when we get a big portion of our healing, we recognize when other people aren't, and then we start noticing how different we are based on where we were.
Yeah.
And so you were like, "Is this supposed to feel like this?" I'm concerned, but I'm not a mess. I'm not falling
Yes.
apart. And even when I feel like I'm being attacked, I don't respond the same. Like I still like I believe and I've been in positions where my healing was tested and I could hear the Lord tell me, put your healing up as a shield. It's a shield for you. You're
Yes.
not because what happens is we don't fight and engage in battles we've already won.
Yeah.
And so our healing speaks and stands before us and reminds us that we don't have to fight the battle, our shield will.
Yeah.
And so you just put it in front of you and you carry on like the woman you are.
Yes.
um so that's amazing. All right, so y'all listen, I don't know if y'all have any questions, but we're moving right along now. So Kimberly, what's next for you? Because I know you got your book and we need to know what the name of the book is it available yet? Is it coming out? Do you have a release date? Wait a minute. Now Sheila surprised me on this one.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
tell us about the book. Tell us about the
Okay, so my book is called Breaking Free from Me. Um, and it just takes y'all on a journey and give you guys some little nuggets on how I broke free from the previous version of myself until the healed version of myself. It releases on Amazon next Friday on Valentine's Day. So I'm excited about that. All glory be to God. And I am doing some live events where I will have books available for sale as well. Mirror Mirror drops next month. So I'm excited about that. And I am doing some mentorship still in the schools. So I am really, really excited. But one of the things I did want to share with you in my book was this, because I don't think you know what you did for me. I don't think you know how important you are to me. So I wrote that I want to thank Dr. Rashawana Smith. Words cannot express my gratitude. I thank God for placing you in my life at the exact moment that I needed you most. Your obedience has caused the chains to break in my life and has been the catalyst for me breaking free from myself. I thank God for you. So I really, really appreciate your obedience and your heart. I'm forever grateful. So thank you.
Thank you. That is
Thank you.
amazing. You put me in your book.
I did.
Y'all, she gonna
I did.
listen. The lashes. Be mindful of the lashes, okay? Kimberly,
But
that
yes,
is honor. I'm honored.
yes.
I'm honored. And
Because
and y'all know I didn't know this. She didn't tell me
I
either.
did not.
Of course, we've got to make sure that we blow this when she releases it on the 14th next Friday, that we help her sell out. Um, I am beyond blown away. I've never had a book dedicated to me or mention me at all.
Oh,
So
wow.
this is a first. Well, I've had people mention Call to Clarity in books. I have, but to see
I
what
did
God,
that too.
yeah, to see what God has done in 8 months What would you tell a woman that really wants redemption, that wants the restoration from years? The scripture tells us that the Lord will restore to us the things that the canker, the palmer worm, the caterpillar stole from
Yeah.
us. But it doesn't just come without effort, without a sacrifice. And so 8 months and your life is, it's not even, it's not where God ultimately is going to have you, but it's so different
Yes.
that you're beginning to birth multiple things in short periods of time. And that was one of the prophecies he gave y'all,
Yeah.
that y'all were bougie, so y'all knew how to spruce up and look beautiful, but y'all were birthers too, and y'all had a grit
Yeah.
to bow down and push and give birth to multiple things. So to see all of this transpire and to see your hand on all of these things in 8 months, what would you tell a woman that's just been holding the fence? She's afraid. She's like you. She's taken other courses. She's been down that road. People have told her they're going to help her. She's invested and it didn't pan out. She feel like she wasted money, but she knows that there's something missing in her life and she just doesn't know exactly how to get there. What would you tell her while we're closing, before we close?
I would tell her you owe it to yourself. Take the course.
Mhm.
Um, Sometimes we can think ourselves right out of the very thing we need. Take it. You are worth the investment. You are your biggest assignment.
Mhm.
Now, when I walk in rooms, I never walk in to take sides. I walk in to take over, and I
Mhm.
own that. And without call to clarity, I wouldn't have been able to do that. You know, it's such a tragic thing to be able to look in the mirror and not know who you are. It's because there's nations on the inside of you. There
Mhm.
are women waiting to connect to you. And if you're like anything like me, my husband and my children came before me. And I didn't realize the disservice that I was doing to them, because if you're not good as a woman, you're not going to be good as a wife or a mother. Because those are the things that we tend to typically put before ourselves. But loose yourself, free
Mhm.
yourself, and give yourself an opportunity to become the best version of yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so beautiful. Because I think one thing that you touched on is we always think the best thing for us to do is put our family before us, right? But when you don't sow into your own field, you can never be the person that God really wants you to be, not for you or for them. And so
Yes.
I was just like you. I felt like, Lord, why am I not flourishing? Why don't I feel like I have a harvest? And it's because I put all my seeds into my husband's and my children's fields. And then I wondered why there was no harvest for me. And it was when I decided I'm going to sow into myself that everybody got blessed.
Yeah. Everybody.
Oh,
Yes, that's
I'm a birther.
good.
I'm a birther. And,
Yeah.
and mom knows how to issue out and ration out what needs to be done. When the mom is blessed, she gives birth and it touches everybody in the house. So that thing changed my life at 45, 8
Hmm.
years ago, when I learned that my field is good. It'll produce. It's fertile. You got to plow it up and take some of
Yeah.
the stones out.
Yeah.
It might be dry, because you ain't worked in it in a while,
Yeah.
but it'll produce if you work it.
Yes.
It will produce. It will produce. This has been a great time. We're gonna have to get you to come back on later on, this year, at the end of the year. Maybe we'll do like a reunion or something like that.
Ooh, I love that. Yes.
So any parting words before we leave, Kimberly? I know that um, God has done a work in your life, and I know that you're expecting some great things. This is just the first layer of the restoration that I know you believe God has for you. But are there any parting words, any last minute things you want to leave with the audience? Everybody's on here is like, this is beautiful. Um, Love it. We just got a lot of amazing comments about your testimony. And make sure you're gonna go live. Wait, hold up. Before we got to get all the book information. You're going live, right?
Yes, after this, I am going live.
Y'all know I'm her coach, and I'm a little bit of everything, so I have to make sure. So you're going live. You're gonna
Yes.
sell, and we can talk about that. But
Yes.
yeah, we're gonna yeah. Hmm.
Yes. Um, if nothing more, and you don't know how to show up for yourself, there's a community of women that's
Mm,
waiting on you that will help you carry the load until you can carry it for yourself.
yeah,
And that's what I got in Call to Clarity. That was something else that I knew, that I didn't know I need. The community itself,
yeah.
man, it's beautiful. It's women going through similar things, that you're going through. Women that has come out of things that you're going through that can help you navigate what you're going through. So even if you haven't made up your mind and you're on the fence about for yourself, do it for the community. It's worth it.
Mm,
Do it for the community. It
yeah.
is definitely worth it. But I'm just grateful. I am I'm just grateful what God has done in my life. Um, I don't take it lightly. I don't. Um, I thought I was gonna be like Jacob and have to live with that limp,
Mm,
the rejection, the betrayal, the hurt. And God said not so.
hmm.
So I'm grateful.
Yeah, we're grateful
Uh,
for you.
well, thank y'all.
I'm grateful for your call to Ty. I'm grateful for your
Thank you,
yes.
Ty.
I'm grateful for your ambition and your grit because there's a lot of times, and I'm saying this, and we're gonna get off because I'll start preaching about this thing. A lot of times, people want a lot of things for no effort.
Yeah. Ooh, that's good.
They think, oh, I paid my money, I'm here. You know, you left no stone unturned
That's right.
to the point to where Kim was like, I, "Do I need to take it again?" I'm like, "Go on the higher ground."
Yes. That I was willing. That's how good it was. I'm like, if there's anything left, I want it out. I was at work, y'all. I had to work. I was on them people clock, but I was on clock call to clarity. I was. So
Yeah,
it's worth it. It is worth the investment. You are worth it. You're worth the investment.
yeah.
Absolutely.
And the best investment with the biggest return.
Oh, yes.
I've never seen a woman invest in herself and not get a return because you're your best investment with the
Yes.
highest return. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so when I saw the meticulous uh effort you put behind, like, let me and would ask questions. Now let me make sure I'm getting this right, because before we get off of here, I need to know, you know, you know, you
Yep.
know, and I applaud that about you because sometimes we don't want to ask questions because we don't want to make it seem as if we don't know, but you were willing to be so open and so transparent to say, I want it all. I paid my money. I'm in this thing. And the last thing, my life right now is not on hold, but I am pulling away from everything else. You pulled away and stopped going certain places, and you put all of your focus on yourself for that time period, and stole away in a private place, even though you went to work, you spent a lot of time working on yourself.
I did.
And that's going to be one of the keys. And so I love the fact that you were all in. That's the word. You
Yeah.
were all in. You bought into the process, and it worked for you. And you have done several things in 8 months. Well,
Yes.
probably less than 8 months.
Yeah. Less than 8 months.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But that's amazing, man. God is so good.
Yeah.
I'm
He
just
is
saying, like, woo,
so
y'all just
faithful.
don't know. I was
Yeah.
in a dark place. So just the heal life, wow, that means to me that it's the whole life. That means living life on my own terms. Just man, it's a lifestyle. I put it on like a dress where
Yeah.
it just covers me, you
Hmm.
know, holistically. And that means that I'm intentional, about giving me what I need and
Right.
setting those boundaries. My healing is non negotiable.
That's right.
And if you're not actively seeking or working on your healing or desire to be healed, then we can't do it. I can pray for you, but it got to be from a distance.
Hmm.
So, and that's where I'm at. That's how important it is to me.
Yeah. And it costs you too much.
It did.
It costs you too much. And you can't afford to do life without it.
Hmm.
So the heal life to her, y'all, she said it's a dress that she puts on every day, or it's her garment.
Yes.
I don't even say a certain type of
Yes.
garment, but a garment that she wears because she can't go out without her healing because that makes her naked. Y'all, this is so good. That's
Yes.
right there. You can't
Yes.
leave home without your healing because it's a garment that's a necessity. It's a
It
part of your
is.
wardrobe. Yeah. So
Yes.
your life. So
Yes.
good. So good. Y'all, this has been amazing.
Yes.
I have Miss Bessie Reliford on here saying, I want to be healed. This is the next thing.
Yes.
I'm going to leave Kimberly on here with me. I believe that there's some women on here right now that need call to clarity, that need to be with me starting March the 3rd. If that's you, I want you to send me a private DM, send me an inbox, a message. Instagram, we're live. We're supposed to be live. We got a check mark on Instagram. I don't know if we live, but we got a check mark. We're live on YouTube and we're also live on Facebook. But send me a private message and say, I'm ready to heal. And
Yes.
I promise you, or just tell me clarity. I need clarity. I promise you, if you take that first step, Kimberly is a witness. Everything else will fall into place with the investment. We have payment plans, but also God will partner with your movement. You just need to say yes. Yes. Just say yes to the process, and everything else will work out for you. Would you say that that's the way that it goes, Kimberly?
Oh, absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Best decision of my life.
Yeah. Yeah. I thank you for all your time. I thank you for the dedication in your book. That made my night and had me almost look broke up. And I just know God's going to take you so many places. And whether I can be there at some of them, if I can, I will be there. But I just want to watch you soar and stay high, stay in the ascension because God has some amazing things for you. You have not seen anything yet. And so we want to thank you for coming on the Heal Life with me and sharing your story, and just being transparent enough so that people can relate to you. Because sometimes people don't even give it to us on that bottom level like you did. They kind of they kind of are vague, and you're like, well, did you have Trump? We don't know, honey. You kind of pretentious, but
Yeah.
you were very transparent. So thank you for sharing your story and just sharing your life and your smile and the love that you have for girls. Um, right now, you're not waiting to make impact. You're making great impact now.
Thank
You
you.
know, yeah, I
Thank
love it. I love it. All right, you guys, give us some
Thanks
hugs,
for having me.
some hearts, and some love as Kimberly goes back. I'm gonna come backstage in just a minute, Kimberly. Y'all give us some hearts as she goes backstage. All right, y'all. We are we are gonna end the Heal Life broadcast, but I want to reiterate to those of you, we have a lot of graduates on with us tonight, a lot of graduates from Call to Clarity. They'll tell you it's worth the investment. If you're a woman, we don't have men inside the course anymore, but if you're a woman and you know this spoke volumes to you and you know you need to make an appointment or you just need more information about Call to Clarity, listen, make sure you reach out to me so that we can talk and get on a call and get you where you need to be. Amen. I love you guys. Thank you so much. I want to say this because I know that this is one of the barriers that I face in doing the work that I do. I'm a prophetess. I'm a minister, um, and I was bound. I was prophesying and I was operating in leadership, and I was bound. And there's a lot of women that don't want to remove the mask and don't want to do the work because they're afraid to go underground for a period of time so they can finally become who God has always called them to be. I'm telling you, you're a woman in ministry. You may be a woman that's served, and it's time for you to find out who you are and to do what God has always destined for you to do. It's your time. It's your time. It's time for you to stop putting everybody in front of you and then expecting there to be some miraculous breakthrough for you, because you have not done any work. You have not taken any time for yourself. You've got to decide that you're going to focus on yourself and not feel guilty about it. Give yourself permission to do something for yourself. Okay. And sometimes people overthink it and say, oh, I can't afford it. You can't afford not to do it. I'm just gonna those of you that's been watching me, you can't afford not to do it. Y'all know my story. God turned my life around and changed a 20-year income in 18 months. Took me off my job because I decided to do the work. And I wasn't even looking to get off my job. Okay. But God positioned me after I healed. God positioned me after he could trust me, after he could trust me to do the inner work so I could handle his people correctly. And I'm telling you, many of you are dealing with imposter syndrome, the saboteur within. You're dealing with fear, perfection. You're afraid. You isolated. You and you're wondering, Lord, there's something missing and I can't put my finger on it. Give yourself permission to finally sit down and invest time, effort, and strategy and healing into your life so that you can finally get where you want to be. And then God can get the glory out of everything you do. All right. I love you guys. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. We will be back um, for the Heal Life very soon. I'm not going to tell y'all who my special guest is. Y'all have to wait to see the flyer. But those of you that have taken Call to Clarity, share this with your friends. Share this with your sisters, your family, that girlfriend that you know needs it. Share it with somebody that you know, girl, it's time for you to heal. You send it to somebody and say, girl, it's time. It's time, girl. It's time to heal, sis. It's time. You know, tell them what they need to hear and stop telling them what they want to hear. Y'all gonna make me stay on here. Stop telling them what they want to hear. Tell them what they need to hear. And those of you that are on the fence and know you need to be with me, go ahead and send me a private message. I'll be waiting and I will be happy, elated to get on a call with you to help you get to where you know you need to be. All right. I love you guys. Have a great night. And thank you for joining me for the Heal Life, because it is easier and better to live healed than to live bound. All right. Good night. God bless.